Hello world, welcome to Building a Roguelike in C, the stream where we build a classic ASCII roguelike in standard C, building our own algorithms and libraries from scratch as opposed to using a framework. So let's jump in. Yesterday, we were pretty successful. We started generating our dungeon map, and we were placing rooms, carving them out of a raw blank canvas, as it were. And I was pretty happy with where we ended up yesterday. I will attempt to show that to you right now. Okay, so we ended up with something that looks like this. We're randomly placing rooms scattered, and this was actually a pretty good generation right here because we don't have rooms that overlap. That's one thing that can happen still. We need to fix that up. And we also want this to be a little bit more dense. This is not... We can definitely have more dungeon space in here. So we'll tweak the numbers. But what I found is I was trying to show my son my masterpiece, and I launched the app earlier today, and it was just a white screen, like nothing happened. And then I was like, "What? This was just working. What's going on here?" I launched it again, and it worked fine. So it's like, alright, there's definitely something going on. Launched it a couple more times. Sometimes it would hang and sometimes it wouldn't. Turns out there's a bug in our code that will only appear sometimes, which is really the most fun kind of bug. And by fun, I mean annoying. But what is happening occasionally, let's go to our map generation code. We're using random numbers to generate random width, height, and then X and Y values for the room that we're going to try and place into the map. The width and height, that works fine. This will get us values in the range of 3 to 20, based on the values that we're providing to Rand. That's great. No problems there. The problems are with our X and Y values. And the problem here is this rand mod map width minus W minus 1 needs some parentheses around it, placed in such a way that there's no possibility that we could generate negative numbers from this. Because right now, if we generate a random number that's between 0 and map width, we could generate, let's say we generate that random number's 4, and the width that we generated is 10. So if we do, if we're subtracting 11 from 4, we end up with a negative number. And we're then cramming that negative number, we're assigning it into an unsigned integer. And so the problem with that is that we're then passing that to mapcarve room. And these loops, we're looping from X to X plus W and I plus plus. We're basically sending in a negative number in an unsigned integer, which the computer interprets as a giant positive number, something on the order of 4 billion something. So what it's doing is it's just going to loop through these things forever. And that's no good. So what we need to do is be a bit smarter or be a bit more protective about generating valid X and Y values to place our room. So let's see. What we actually want for a valid range of X is if we generate a width W, we would like to place our X between 1, because we want to leave that we want to leave at least one cell width of border from the edge. So we want to generate a random number between 1 and the map width minus the width minus 1. So what we want to do is, I believe, put a parenthesis around this. Because what it was doing before, without the parentheses, is it was applying the mod. So it was modding the random number by map height, and then we're subtracting h and -1. So if that random number is small enough, and the width or the height was big enough, we would end up with a negative number. So we're going to fix this stuff up. And give that, hopefully eliminate the chance of us looping for years. Oh, and you can't see that, so let's just build. Ah, that looks much better. And if you'll notice, we have our little dude here, and because our walls have a physical component and don't allow passage through them, this is actually, our guy's kind of constrained in here. And he can't go through the walls. So that's working, as expected. So this generated a rather dungeon-like game map. That's pretty interesting. Let's run it again, see what we get. So these are actually pretty interesting dungeon shapes. Hey, Mr. Love Pickle, how's it going? Hey, Crocodoctopus, nice name, I like it. Much progress? Well, not so much progress as fixing the problems that were hiding or lurking in the system. So really it's just we fixed one problem where we were treating a negative number as an unsigned int, which was wrecking some havoc, and once we fix that, now our map generation algorithm is free to work as we were hoping it would. But I actually like these dungeon shapes that we're getting. It's very interesting. There's not a lot of corridors. Well, we haven't placed corridors yet, but there's not even like a lot of room for corridors. I wonder if we should just leave that as is, and then perhaps just go ahead and make sure that we can reach all parts of our map. Maybe the 65. Let's tinker with our algorithm a little bit. Remember, in our generator, we are using as our test condition to call the map done, or at least the room placement done, when we exceed greater than 65% cell usage for our map. I wonder what turning that down to like 45% would look like. Just build it real quick. So that's looking definitely more blockish and more room-like. And we have several rooms. One thing I would like to fix is not having the overlap. Not having rooms overlap. Because while that's less organic, kind of looks dwarf fortressy. Well, yes, in the respect that it's going to be an ASCII interface, at least for the initial phase. Yes. However, in terms of complexity, yeah, preventing room overlap is easy enough. I think that'll be the next step, and then we can draw some corridors in between our rooms and make sure that every room is accessible. So let's go ahead and make sure that the rooms don't overlap. So what we're doing is we're generating our random width and height, and then we're trying to carve out that room. So I think we'll modify the carve room routine to make sure that there's at least a 1-cell buffer between us and the nearest room. Oh, 1 sec. Sorry. All right, I'm back. So let's make sure that there's at least a 1-cell buffer between us and the next room. So what we'll do is right here we're looping. We give it an X and a Y and a width and a height, and we're looping through from the X, through the width and kind of looping all the way down, checking to see if we've got an overlap. Or if any cell in the room that we want to place is already being used by another room. So what I think we want to do to ensure a buffer is just check, in addition to the width and the height, we want to go 1 cell further in each direction. So this would be X plus, let's just make it kind of explicit, width plus 1, and then this would be height plus 1. And that should work. I'm just wondering in the case where that shouldn't crash even if we're at the edges of the map. So then the next set of loops where we're actually carving out the room, those can stay the same because we've already checked if there's a buffer. I just want to see, this is going to be, I think the width -1 and the height -1 is going to allow us to make sure that we never exceed the edges of the map in our check.
Turn it on.
So let's give that a go. It looks like we still have a little overlap sometimes. Ah, you know why? Because we're only checking on the right and bottom edges. We are not also backing up in the left and upward directions. So let's do that. And again, in this case, we don't want anything running up against the left or top edges, so what we need to do is adjust our random number generator a little bit so that we don't, X and Y are never 0. Best way to do that. I feel like adding random calculations into this is going to be just protect us against getting 0, 0, or 0x or 0y, and then what we're going to want to do here in our curve room is, in addition to checking an extra space in the maximum direction, we also want to check starting where I is x minus 1, and then j is y minus 1. That should give us what we want. Alright, that looks way better. Cool. I'm definitely liking that. And we can see we have at least a 1 cell border around the edges of the screen, as well as in between rooms. Excellent. So let's keep going. Let's hide that terminal. One thing I would like to do, that white is kind of harsh. Let's find a better color for our walls. And I am going to jump out here real quick, and let's see, X. Let's just pick something. We'll go out to hex codes and find a nice, like, brownish or maybe a darker gray. This seems reasonable. It might be too dark. About something like this. 675644. And then we have to go to our wall. Where do we add our wall? I've lost it. I've lost our code. Render screen can move. Maybe it's in game. Ah, wall add. Here we go. Okay, so. And you can't see that because my browser's still up. Whoops. Let's see. Let's do 675644. And we'll do foreground color instead of white. 6756. just see what that looks like. It's more reasonable, at least for now. Less harsh on the eyes. That white was glaring. All right. Looks good for now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw corridors in between our rooms and make sure, do it in such a way that we make sure that all of those rooms are accessible. Go away. Yes, my family is amused by my streaming. Okay, anyway, let's continue our map generation algorithm. So we've got our rooms carved out at this point. And then I left a comment here yesterday, join all the rooms with corridors. And what we're going to do with that is, if you remember, when we found a successful room, not only did we carve it out of the map, but we also we turned it into a rectangle, and then we added that rectangle to an array of rooms. So now we're going to use that collection of rooms to we're basically going to walk that collection, and we're going to draw corridors between all of, each room will draw a corridor to the next room. And I think in that way, we will know that there's at least one path between those rooms, and if we do that in the entire chain of rooms, then there will be at least, and in most cases probably more than one, because we'll be carving out corridors through existing rooms and possibly existing corridors. But that should guarantee that there's a way to access every part of the map. And again, it's kind of a simplistic algorithm, but it's good enough for the first pass, and we can always tweak it. So the first step, we've got our collection of rooms in this rooms array. We're going to want to walk the array. So we have our room count. So we'll say for let's just stick with U32s for now. For R, and we'll set it starts at 0, and we'll go until R. We'll keep looping while R is less than room count. And actually, well, we'll probably want to adjust that loop a little bit. Because I think we're going to want to look ahead in the array, and so we'll actually probably end up going subtracting 1 from room count. So what we want to do, I imagine that we're going to write a function to test or to generate hallways between rooms, but let's write the code that we, based on anticipating how we're going to use that function. Let's just write the code as we would like it to be, and then we'll see what kind of function will fit. So what we're going to want to do is grab the rectangle for our first room. I guess we could just do this. Let's just start at 1. And we'll say that rectangle 1 is rooms at r minus 1. And then maybe we'll call this from. And we'll call this one 2. And that'll be at position R. And so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to probably, I guess we could determine the center or near enough to the center of each of those rectangles and then just draw lines between those. So what we want, it seems like that would make the corridors seem awfully uniform, always going into like the middle of a room. So perhaps we could pick a random point in each room and then join those. That seems like it would be more organic. So what we'll do is, do we have a, I don't remember if I have the concept of just a point, if I've defined that already. I think I just have rectangles. Yeah, I think I've just got rectangles. Oh, I do have, in our components, we do have the concept of a position, but that's in the context of an object, so I'd prefer not to use that. So maybe we'll just define a point. All right. We've got our game here. Maybe I'll define it in the map section for now, because I may break these files out, so I'm trying to kind of localize the code. So maybe here we'll do. Do I not? I could have sworn I have a point here somewhere. That just seems like too useful of a construct not to have defined. PT cell. Oh, I guess I treat the cell. Yeah, I guess I don't have that. Hey, Cavarlux. Caviar XDev. UXDev, huh? what am I using for the graphics terminal? ASCII or a separate GUI? So at the lowest level, I'm using SDL to get basically to get me the double buffering and the texture generation. It's basically it hands me a collection of pixels that I can, or a section of memory that I can treat as a collection of pixels, and then I've written my own console emulator that lets me load up a font and render to the screen as if I was writing to a console. So the initial version of the game will have, it'll be like a classic roguelike with the ASCII graphics, and then if I'm feeling ambitious, I will swap that out for a tile set, and it should be fairly easy to convert based on how the console library is implemented. Alright, so let's define a point structure. And what we're going to want is point. Hey, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Glad that joining us in our adventure, our quest to create a roguelike. So the point, we're going to do point from point, and what we'll do is we'll just call it random point perhaps, and we'll pass it our from rectangle, and that'll give us a random point inside that rectangle, and then we'll do the same for our to rect. And then what we will do is basically draw two straight lines. So what we'll do is, if we have a point here and a point here, we'll either go down and over, or we'll go over and down. And I guess maybe we'll just like do a coin flip to say, you know, what do we go, horizontal or vertical first? So once we have those points, we'll do something like if I guess how do you just do a 50%? Is it round odd one? That equals random's gonna give you a. It's not gonna be successful. Let's see. Yeah, I think we just do mod 2. So if it's even, it's hits, yeah. So if So if it's an even number, we'll call that and otherwise we'll go vertical first. Let's just write some comments so we remember what we're doing. So the generating random points in each room, and then joining those two rooms via those random points. Alright, so we're going to draw those two lines. I don't think we need anything after that. Once we draw our line, so we do carve, I guess it'd be carve line, carve hallway. Or we could just, yep, let's do carve hallway. I was gonna say we could reuse it, but that our carve room does more than just actually carve it out. So in this case, we would do. We'll leave the parameters for a second. But we're going to carve from our point. This is going to be our first parameter here to some point, and then we'll go from that point to point. And so we need to figure out our intern point, which is where the x's and the y's intersect. So how do we figure that out? If we're moving horizontal first, then vertical, we want to I think we should just wrap this whole random logic in the carve hallway now. Horizontal first, then we want to move between the x coordinates of each of them. So we need to figure out which is bigger and which is smaller. Because we're going to want to, I guess we'll probably assume that our algorithm will draw from left to right in ascending order. So what we'll do is x interim, call it the midpoint, x mid, equals, say if from point x is less than I'm confusing myself. Actually, our midpoint is easier to calculate than that. So what we want is point, mid, we want the x from our 2 point. And our from points y, so that we go across. And this is mid. Let's be consistent, midpoint. And the logic of how to actually do that we will delegate to our map carve hallway. Now for moving vertical and then horizontal, what we're going to do is our point is going to be our from points x and our 2 points y. Yep. I think that is what we want to do, so that just leaves the implementation of mapped carve hallway. And it will take 2 points. I wonder if we want to be a little bit more specific. Let's do let's do 2 functions. Easy pub. And so then really all we need to look at is the x's for our horizontal and then the y's for our vertical. Now we want to make sure that if we're going from left to right, we want to make sure that we start with our smaller number and move to the larger number. So maybe we'll do Alright, and then what we want to do is we want to loop first, and then we want to loop until x is less than or equal to last, because we do want that last position. And what we're going to do, all we're going to do to carve this out is set map cells at that, so at the X, and then we'll grab the Y should be the same for these points because we're drawing a horizontal, so we'll just grab it from the from. And we're setting that equal to false, which indicates that it's carved out. And we'll do the same for vertical, except we'll do it with the Y's. Y is less than 2. Wish that the auto indent worked a bit better with this thing. I need to spend a couple hours and tweak my Sublime text settings. Alright, so that should do it for y equals first. And we'll go from what all y is less than or equal to last plus. So in this case, the x should be the same in both of these points, so we'll grab from x and then our y. So that should give us our corridors between rooms. Should we give it a whirl? Let's give it a whirl. Okay, so compilers. So 211 cannot convert from int to point. Oh, we haven't written a function. That's a problem. We never wrote our rect random point function, and as a result, it assumes that the C compiler will assume that a function it doesn't know about returns an int. That's just the default behavior. We actually learned that when it bit us in the butt yesterday. So that's why it's giving you that's why it's given the type error, unexpected type. So let's write that function. Sending in. Okay. and this return should return the point. So we want a random point in this rectangle, which should be pretty easy to generate. So what we'll do is basically we know the height and the width. So we want to generate a random number between 0 and w and add it to our x, and then generate a random number between 0 and height and add it to our y. Random number between 0 and width. And again, we need to watch our parentheses here so we do what we think we're doing. Plus, that would be rect x. Just like this should be y, or rect w, sorry. And we've got our u32py is going to be rand between 0 and our height plus our y coordinate for the rectangle. And then what we're going to do is we're going to return can you just do pxpy? Let's figure out if we can actually do that. I don't remember.
It seems impossible, but there's nobody else I want by my side to stand in with me to take this fight through the rise and fall.
So the other problem that again bit me in the butt, and it will continue to bite me in the butt until I remember to do this, is you need to declare these things before you use them. So where did we put our declarations yesterday? So we want our random point here. And then we probably also want these hallway carvers. What else did we write? We did carve room yesterday. That should be it, the hallways. Our hallway functions should suffice. Yay, now we got lots of errors, but different ones. So 55.
We dream so colorful.
We don't aim.
Oh, we love
Wait a minute.
so strong. The world is
We haven't declared point. Oops.
so brings you to your
Order matters, folks. Order matters. See. I guess I'll put this up here for now. Not thrilled with where this is. We're gonna do a refactoring pass at some point where we just kind of do code organization. I'm a little type A in that regard. Okay, so 285, we'll probably just miss something simple. What's it complain about? Missing. Yeah, so I guess it doesn't like that. So what we'll do. Instead of our point of no return, we've got our point of return. And then we'll return them. Built. Okay, let's see if we've got some corridors. And we do. That, I do see some orphaned rooms, so something's not 100% correct. We can go all the way over here, but then we can't get to that room over there. And then we can go all the way over here, but we can't get to that room. And then if we look, we've got some corridors that don't seem to, like, I don't see vertical corridors here. I think we have a breakage in our vertical line drawing, because we've got a couple horizontals that just kind of go to nowhere. Let's look at that. Move horizontal then vertical. Calculating the midpoint correctly, so if we move vertical then horizontal, we do set that to our front, and then we're drawing. Y goes first, Y last. We're using our from X, and we're iterating on Y, so that should... Oh! We're not actually carving it, we're just referencing it and doing nothing with it. We're not setting it to... Told you it was something dumb. Okay. So, yeah, we're basically just saying, hey, look at this position in the array. We're doing nothing with it. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, is it Gillester 42? Silliness. Okay, that definitely looks better. I see vertical corridors and horizontal corridors, and I don't see any orphan rooms. Woohoo! I'm not thrilled with the shape of the map and kind of this random stuff here, so I think that we can, there's definitely room for improvement, but tweaking the algorithms is, for me at least, part of the fun of building something like this. So, you know, I think we're definitely going to do some experimentation with different room sizes, different room shapes, having more organic shapes, based on noise patterns or like purling noise or that sort of thing. I was reading today about an algorithm where carve out a shape of a dungeon based on butterfly-like random movements. So we can play with all of that. But I'm satisfied with what we've got right now. I think I'm going to call it an evening for now and wrap up the stream. So I'm going to call it, folks. Thanks for watching. If you're interested, archives are on YouTube. Hit me up with any questions or comments you might have on Twitter at PDCodes. And I'm going to be committing tonight's changes to the GitHub repo. You can follow along at home if you want. Grab the repo, it's right there on GitHub. And if you're interested in watching in the future, please go ahead and hit that follow button, and you'll be notified the next time that I go live, which will probably be tomorrow evening around 8 Pacific. I'm going to try and do this nightly. If not nightly, then definitely several times a week. So hit the follow button and join me next time. Thanks for watching.